We live in a time when innovation and creativity are the path to autonomy, success, and unlimited potential. But our education system is trapped in the industrial age. We are still being fed the story that job security equals freedom. For many of us, that just isn't good enough. Every week, I'm bringing you the stories and experiences of entrepreneurs who don't accept the narrative that there is only one path to success. Their entrepreneurial journey is allowing them the freedom to prioritize both their businesses and their families. They are intentionally building a legacy to lead their family into a new era of innovation and growth. This is Our Modern Heritage Legacy Secrets, and I'm your host, Jody Chafee. Awesome. I have on this show today Nick Murphy. He is a former NFL player, father of 5, and serial entrepreneur. He specializes in helping overworked parents build and scale digital businesses so they can hustle less, earn more, and be present to what matters most at home. Welcome, Nick. I'm so excited to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So tell us more about your entrepreneurial journey. How did you go from being an NFL player to a serial entrepreneur?
How much time you got? It was a journey. I think at the end of the day, I came out of football and I was looking for a job. I had a bachelor's degree, but when I was playing college football, NCAA had some weird rules if you're on scholarship in terms of how much money you can actually earn. In addition to that, you just don't have a lot of time. I was taking 12 to 15 hours a semester. Plus, during the season, obviously in the fall was crazy with travel and practice and meetings and all this stuff. And in the spring, you had spring ball and other things going on, off-season workouts all summer.
Yeah.
So I didn't have a lot of time to work. And the only important or relevant part of that story to your answer is I had a degree, but I had no real experience. So sure, I punted a football as a pro for 4 years, but a bachelor's degree in broadcasting and an NFL career doesn't jump off the pages. And just the way that people look for resumes and technology and the algorithms and how they search for keywords and certain things, and they have to filter because they get so many apps. So we'll just blacklist everybody who doesn't meet all these minimums, and then we'll go from there. I didn't meet the minimums because I didn't have the experience. So I became an entrepreneur really to solve my own problem. And a buddy of mine and I created a video resume company in 2006 to supplement text resumes for people like me and like him and like transitioning military or athletes who have intangible skills and value and education, but they didn't really go the predictable regular path. And so that was kind of my foray in entrepreneurship right there.
That's so awesome. I think that you hit the nail on the head about so many people think that going to college to play a sport is like their ticket to success or wealth or something like that. And that's just not the case. I mean, there's a very small
No.
percentage of people who make it, right? So that's awesome that you because you took your experience and you turned around and said, who else is going to need this, and that's really, really awesome.
Yeah, that doesn't by any stretch of the imagination mean we did it well. It just means we had a good idea. We tried to solve our problem and we went for it. We raised $500,000 from friends and family. We ran that business for 4 years. But I learned a lot of things. And my book's behind me, but in my book, the third part of that, and it's called Unbox, How to Create a Career on Your Terms. But the third part of that is all the things we did in those work class days that I've learned since and in reflection that were not right. So we didn't run it great, but that was how I got into
it was a start.
And where I kind of cut my teeth, it was a $500,000 master's degree before I had my real master's degree, I guess.
Wow. Yeah. Isn't that, that's the story of our life. But so that's interesting though. So then where did your family come into play? Were you inspired to be an entrepreneur from your upbringing or did it start after you hit this wall going, now what?
Great question. I think I always had it in me. I don't know about always. I don't know if any of us pop out the womb hey, you're an entrepreneur. I don't know if I had that. I wasn't selling lemonade in my driveway every day of the year as a kid or anything, but we did do things like that. But I saw my dad, both my parents really. My dad was in corporate sales my whole life growing up, and so he was traveling 3-4 nights a week. He was always there for baseball games and would do all the things on the weekends, but he was always gone. He was always traveling, and he was always in a suit and tie. And I have all these memories as a kid as to what that meant and what I thought about work. And he did really well. He was making 6 figures in the 80s, which was a ton of money then. But he was always gone. And I don't remember him being gone, but I think in hindsight, now being a parent, that's a grind. And so for any of you out there listening that have that schedule, or you're married to someone with that schedule, you know how taxing that is on your energy, on any entrepreneurial dreams you have, on your family, on all the people. And so I had that experience, just kind of it took me to be an adult, look back and learn from that. But I saw
Yeah.
that.
Mhm.
And then my parents got divorced after 18 years of marriage when I was in high school, a lot of which because I think, they grew apart a lot while my dad was gone
Right.
so much. And it was from that he started an Allstate insurance agency and grew it from nothing to about 4,000 policies in 4 or 5 years and sold it. But I got to see in my dad the corporate world and the entrepreneur world in the same person, the same childhood. And
Wow.
to me, it was like, well, that sucks. This is awesome. So
Right.
it wasn't some rocket science thing, but just paying attention and having that juxtaposition with your dad, who obviously I looked up to. And then my mom's a yoga teacher and a massage therapist, and she started doing that in the 80s, way before yoga was cool. There was no Lululemon. It was all crazy old women. And back then. And so I've seen her, build her business and not just do it, but do it to fully support herself for the last 20 years since my parents have been divorced. And so I have two entrepreneurial parents. My brother's an entrepreneur. And so it was, I had all those stories and all that context.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's really awesome that you were able to see both examples from your dad and that your mom had that awesome example too. I definitely, when I talk about family culture, like that's you don't even realize sometimes how your family really shapes your beliefs and the things that are normal to you, right? Like because your mom and your dad were business owners, like that became something that was almost normal to you. And
Yeah.
and so
And I
that's
joke
really
now
inspiring.
because I own my business. My wife owns a dance studio. And
Nice.
so I joke, like, our kids have no idea what it's like to get up in the morning and go to a quote unquote office and work all day. Like they see, and there's a lot of challenges with that as parents and working on the business and in the family and all this stuff.
Sure.
But it's awesome. I'm happy that my kids have this perspective, or I try to help them get the perspective of like, if money weren't an option, if you can make money doing anything, because you can,
Right.
what would fire you up every day? What would you want to do? What would you be excited to do every day? Not just go to work and working for the weekend and, you
Wow.
know, hump day and it's almost the weekend and when can I leave and all that stuff that ugh, ugh,
Yeah. Yeah,
no.
like we're going, "No, thank you." And
Mm.
most people are going, "What? That's normal." And so tell us more about that, like that what is it that you are creating that you hope to create as your kids are getting older and seeing you and your wife being so, entrepreneurial and having that autonomy, what is it you hoping to instill in them as they get older?
I don't know if it's strategic or not. I really believe that you should live life on your terms. To our knowledge, we're here
Mm,
once. And I've always had a lot less fear of failure than I do of regret. And that to me has been, I want to inspire them through my actions. I want to live the life and model the behavior and the lifestyle that I want them to see as possible. Not because they have to do it my way, not because they have to do it, but my dad and my mom did what they wanted to do and they figured it out and we had a good life and they were fulfilled by their work and they enjoyed it. And it wasn't this soul sucking experience that so many of us have had in the corporate world. And to me, that's all it is. Like just, in school, they learn this.
yeah.
And my goal is to help them do this in terms of what's possible.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you can find the thing that is inspiring to you. Like, I mean, you didn't feel like you had to go from the NFL to then do some kind of business in sports. It felt you could go on and do something that you were passionate and excited about, or you felt like was going to serve a population. And so that's really cool. Um, do you feel like, because they have these examples, do you see in them like that they have more are they more observant of like what you're not just what you're doing but also like who you're helping and the people that come into your wife's dance studio or the people that you're serving and taking care of, what are they seeing from that example?
I don't know. The oldest is 12, the youngest is 4. So 12, 10, 9, 6, and 4 right now. And so I
Oh,
think I'll have a better answer for that as they get a little
yeah.
older. The one thing I do see is that they're incredibly responsible and independent
Mm.
and stubborn for their age. And so part of me, as a parent, some of that's challenging, and part of it's like, yeah, you go at what you want. You figure it out. You can do it. And I see that. I see the early seeds of that. We'll see what that turns into.
And you mentioned that there are some challenges, right? Like that you're not getting up and going to work every day, that there's like when you see the negative sides of that, right? It's obvious because nobody, we're all separated, you're apart from each other. But what are the challenges of everybody being there and not having those like strict schedules of people going out in and out of the house like that?
I think I learned, and I'm hoping most of the people that are watching this have learned. If not, I hope they learn it now to protect your time. The fact that you don't have to doesn't mean you don't have to, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to prioritize and you've got to protect your time, and time blocking and boundaries, priorities, clarity, and boundaries, and communication. If you can do those four things well, you can work on the business when you're supposed to work on the business and be present to your family when you're present. And there's a little bit of blurred lines sometimes. And I welcome that. I think trying to I, I'm big on integration. So I want to integrate my family into my business. I want to design a business that fits in my life, not try to cram it in where I can between all the chaos and BS. And so I've been very strategic, especially over the last 24 months. It took me a long time to really get that clarity and decide on what type of business I wanted, who I was going to help, how I was going to do it, and what I was willing to commit and be excited about long-term, day to day, in order to make that happen. And protecting that time is really important.
That's awesome. That's so cool that you're able to intentionally figure out what was going to work for you and your family. And that's amazing.
Well, I did that by doing it the wrong way for a really long time. and running businesses,
Nice.
just, I think I've got 5 companies in the last 15 years. And
Wow.
most of them, with the exception of the first one and this one, have been things that I just knew how to do and I could monetize. Oh, I know
Nice.
how to start a job board. I'll sell recruitment advertising, or I know how to, I know how the digital marketing game works. I'll just kind of broker clicks and live on the margins. And there's been a lot of things I know how to do that I've done successfully. I've had 3 multiple 6-figure companies out of those
Nice.
5, and they've all been the last 3, but none of them, until I really got clear on what I wanted, who I was, how I wanted to serve, and how it fit into my life, could I get consistently excited about. So this is still relatively a newer, great feeling of clarity and direction and purpose. And I have a vision, and I'm excited about the whole thing because I designed it the right way from the beginning around my
Nice.
family.
Yeah. So it took a little bit of trial and error, and now you're starting to figure those things out.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
really cool. So you touched on this a little bit when I asked you about, what you feel like your kids are learning, but what would you say is the legacy that you are building and would like to leave with your children?
It's a big question. At the end of the day, I'm most proud that they are kind
Mm.
and that they are good people. And, for my 12-year-old son's baseball coach saying he's an absolute joy to coach last weekend at a baseball tournament, to the teacher conferences my wife and I went to, they're leaders, they're kind, they're nice, and they help. And I think I don't care what they do, honestly. I want them, as long as they do what they want, as long as they're true to themselves and they're kind people and they can think critically and they can solve problems and be independent, not be victims.
Yeah.
That's, to me, that's a win. I'll probably have a dance teacher, an engineer, and some other people in the middle. Who knows? It doesn't matter to me what they do or what my legacy is. My goal is to raise them to be the kind of people that I want them to be, that will be self-sufficient and good and just, loving what they do and hopefully inspiring people around them.
Self-sufficient and good. I love that. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much, Nick. Where can my audience find you if they want to learn more about your book, and you have a summit that's coming up. So tell us where we can find you.
Yeah. nickmurphy.io is the website. There's a whole bunch of stuff there. My podcast, links to my book. The thing I'm running really soon, actually comes out in December, is a Parentpreneur Summit. And like myself, like you, like so much of your audience, I didn't always do this right. And it's hard to juggle being a parent and being an entrepreneur. And through a lot of trial and error, like we touched on a little bit, I've been doing this for 12 to 15 years and I've spent millions of dollars doing things the wrong way. And I finally put a framework around it. And I said, all right, if you're a working parent, you've got to master your mindset. You've got to know how to connect with your story and build an audience. You've got to understand how to simplify your life through technology and the right software tools so that you're not bogged down and overwhelmed. You've got to build a team because you can't do it by yourself. Mm-hmm. You've got to integrate your family into all of it, because what the hell is the point of any of this if you can't integrate your family and you've built yourself into a job?
Yeah. So
I built the Parentpreneur Summit, and that is live from December 13th to December 17th. There's a bit.ly link. It's just bit.ly, how weird they are, /Parentpreneur Summit. Or the best way to follow me is just go to Instagram, Instagram.com/Coach Nick Murphy. And I'll promote the summit there, and you'll see a whole bunch of stuff. So if you're on your phone and you're like, I don't want to write any of this down, go on Instagram, Coach Nick Murphy, find me, and I'll direct you from there. How's that?
Nice. Perfect. Thank you so much, Nick. Thank you so much for listening. But I have to tell you that this is just the beginning. There is more to this episode inside of my Facebook group. I hope that you'll go and request to join that community because it's awesome. There's more podcast content that's exclusive to the group. There's also giveaways, live Q&As, and you can come and ask questions and take part in this awesome community. So please come and request to join at facebook.com/groups/familyculture-strategies. You can also find my page on Facebook at facebook.com/familyculturepodcast. And I'm at Instagram in the same handle, Family Culture Podcast. I hope you'll come and follow me there and join in this movement to create an intentional family culture around being entrepreneurial and integrating and prioritizing your family as you grow your business. So come and join me there. I hope to see you there. You can also come find my website at ourmodernheritage.com. Thank you so much. And remember that if you want to change the world, go home and love your family.